Okay, so U.S. Senator John McCain once referred to mixed martial arts as human cockfighting. I'm an avid mixed martial arts fan. I've ordered probably every pay-per-view since '04, which is over 100 pay-per-views, and I can assure you this is not the case. So what is mixed martial arts? Mixed martial arts can be defined as a full combat sport derived from many different fighting styles into one sport, basically to get a winner in these two men competing. These fighting styles include, the American styles like wrestling, kickboxing, boxing. It also includes styles from overseas like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is a form of submission fighting, Muay Thai from Thailand, which is basically clinch fighting with some elbows and knees, and Russian Sambo, all these different things into one sport. So MMA is, I'm going to refer to mixed martial arts as MMA, and MMA is not legalized in 5 states. The 5 states are listed there. Alaska and Montana do not have an athletic committee to sanction fights, so if they couldn't be even if we wanted to. And obviously New York is going to be the main thing here. So why is MMA illegal? These can be from many common misconceptions here. Many people think it's a gruesome, no-holds-barred, barbaric fight. You throw 2 people in an octagon and tell them to kill each other. People are very uneducated when it comes to this, especially Bob Riley, New York State Assembly member, who had been pushing to keep this illegal in New York. He gave a recent speech where it was so obvious he was very uneducated that basically, to say he wants it to be illegal really doesn't even make sense because he doesn't know what's really even going on. Also, boxing committees sees it as competition, which, they're pushing for it to, make it look bad and continue to keep it illegal. So to look at MMA in the US, we'll look at the most popular organization in the world, which is the Open Fighting Championship. I think many of you probably heard of this. It started in 1991 with few rules, and to be honest, if I saw an MMA fight in 1991, I would push for it to be illegal. It was, hair pulling, almost eye gouging. It was pretty a gruesome sport. But when Zuffa, an MMA company, or actually just a company headed by Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta, these billionaires, but Dana White is part of this as well, and becomes the president of the UFC when Zuffa takes it over. He's basically the spokesperson for MMA in the US, and it's a little controversial, but I think he's doing a very good job. So what did Zuffa do? Well, they added 30 banned actions to the sport, and weight classes, mandatory gloves, all these different things to make the sport safer and to limit injuries. And in competition to boxing, the MMA boom took off with the premiere of The Ultimate Fighter, which was a reality TV show put on cable TV, the first time mixed martial arts was ever on cable TV. They did, a live finale with fights, and it was a great fight. Pretty much took off and hasn't stopped growing since. Comparison: UFC 148 in July drew 1 million pay-per-view buys. In comparison, a boxing pay-per-view in September drew less than half of that. It was like 400,000. So it really is a competition to boxing, and it's obvious to see why boxing wants to, keep this illegal in some of these states that are still illegal. What we did so far was we kind of, proved some common misconception as to why it should be illegal. With it, it's not really a no-hold-barred cage fight. These men are professionals. It's safer than you might think. Also, you can see why boxing committees are trying to, they're lobbying people in there to push for it to stay illegal in New York. And from here, we'll look at why it should be illegal, and also some important factors why it can actually be beneficial to a community and brings positive aspects to a community. Like I said before, MMA fighters are trained professionals. Other sports look toward MMA for cardio workouts. It's such a strenuous cardio workout. NFL players, even boxing has been practicing some mixed martial arts workouts because it's such a strenuous, high-intensity workout. Some people, like myself, can view mixed martial arts as safer than boxing. But like I said, boxing is legal in all states and all over the world. Here's 3 reasons. MMA has refs that stop fights. When fighters seem out of it, refs will step in. It's a very common way to stop a fight. You're not going to fight to get knocked out. Refs will go in there and stop it. Also, you can tap, whether you're getting submitted or if you want out of the fight at any point, you feel injured, you just want out, you tap, and it's over. Also, the most important factor is that it incorporates wrestling, grappling, clinch fighting, which boxing is just primarily I punch you, you punch me. And I would say grappling occurs 50% of the time in mixed martial arts fights, and it's not taking a toll on your head. And do many injuries rise? Not as much as you think. A lot of injuries occur in training. Like I said, this is just a strenuous training program they do. 42 deaths have occurred in professional boxing over the years. Yes, it's been around for over 100 years and has a lot more time to develop, but so far so good with the MMA. Also, they did a recent study. NFL players hold a higher risk of death upon retiring. This is due to head trauma and all the things. No studies have really been done with MMA, but like I said, it's been around a couple decades and nothing really bad has happened. So what are some positive things that MMA would bring to the community in New York State? Well, for one, renting out arenas such as Times Union Center, Madison Square Garden, these things would bring revenue to New York. Everything from concession sales to hotels being derived from these pay-per-views. And some indirectly related things such as opening up gyms, and it would increase popularity in New York with it being legalized. One thing that you might not think of when it comes to a pay-per-view is a UFC Fan Expo. I went to one of these in Boston, and I can show you, what they're all about. If you're an MMA fan, I would say you should check one of these things out. It basically rents out arenas, and all the fighters come in. They sign autographs, do training sessions, and I'll show you a quick commercial of what these things are all about. This one is from UFC Fan Expo in Houston. I saw this commercial when I was watching a pay-per-view, and you should check out the first part of the thing because it's kind of funny. Oh.
UFC fans all over the world have been blown away by the ultimate fan experience. And it's coming to the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, Texas on October 7th and 8th. UFC Fan Expo is an all-access spectacle for the ultimate fan. Meet the sport's biggest fighters and industry icons. Attend special events, keynote addresses, training sessions, grappling tournaments, and so much more. The UFC Fan Expo, Houston, Texas, October 7th and 8th. Tickets on sale now at UFCFanExpo.com.
So I was watching a pay-per-view and that came on. I was like, what the? I had no idea that was on the commercial. And for those of you who didn't see, it's right here.
UFC fans all over the world have been blown away by
pretty shocking, but it was kind of funny. I had a kick out of it, so I figured I'd hit it in. And that was just an example of some other things that pay-per-views can bring to an area. Here's something that is similar to Taekwondo when they do these things. It really kids with poor upbringings had this aggression. They end up in trouble with the police, and MMA really can take these kids off the street. Professional MMA fighters, right here, Nick Diaz, has credited MMA for saving their lives. In particular, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which he specializes in. It really it's very appealing for these kids. Helps them to control their aggression and all the negative feelings they have into a positive way. In conclusion, I hope to prove that MMA has been negatively perceived in the media for a variety of reasons. Also, I feel MMA is safer than other combat sports that are legal, and also can bring, some positive things to a state and community as a whole. Any questions? I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Have you ever fought?
Never fought. I never actually trained, which surprised a lot of people, a lot of my friends. Self-taught a little, just screwing around, but never trained, never fought. Nope.
So, Brian.
Oh yeah, it was you.
Okay. You think it'll pass in New York State?
They did a recent one in April, and they're saying that if they get it into a vote, it's going to easily pass. But it's been kept being denied to be a bill. And I guess if it's a bill, it's going to pass. But people are denying it to become one, I guess. This was done in April. They actually released stuff saying, oh, MMA is going to be illegal in New York, and it didn't get into a bill or whatever. So it's kind of disappointing for this, but I see with the next 2 years, I don't think it will ever be done.
Were you aware that Riley has now resigned from the Senate?
Yeah, I am, but I figured I'd add that in there because he was,
Assembly, excuse me.
yeah, but I can see that he was, I just figured I'd add him in there. And, I don't know what the new one's, view is on anything, but obviously he's probably better than Bob Riley, so. Anybody else? All right, thanks.